Let's talk about my preferences, what gets my juices flowing, what makes me tick. What I'm looking for and what I really like is a more of a balanced sound signature with a slight bass boost. I like my bass, but I like my bass tight. I like it fast. I like it to hit hard and have some slam. I do not like that extra big bass shelf boost that's sub bass driven, where the lower bass is scooped out. I think it's really important to have that information down there to make instrumental like piano, guitar, cello sound correct. But also I like the bass fast enough, speedy enough to make kick drums sound great. When it comes to the rest of the mids, I prefer an overall maybe slightly warm tilt. I'm not a big fan of overly analytical, too dry a tuning. I'd rather have something a bit more musical. When we start to climb up into the ear gain region, make that pinna gain not so steep, but give some energy to some body into the mids. Again, making vocals sound correct, making instrumentals sound correct. I'm a big fan of timbre and tonality when it comes to instrumental as well. It has to sound correct to my ears. That 5K area also, I'm a bit sensitive to it. If there's too much information up there, I get fatigue, I get ringing in my ears, and it just doesn't let me play it longer and, more importantly, louder, because I do like my tunes louder. When it comes to the rest of the frequencies up top, I do like an extended treble, but not a peak above the pinna rise. Keep it extended, keep it detailed, but don't put too much energy up there for treble sensitive people like myself. It's got to have enough information to make great stage, to give instrument placement, to make strings sound good, female vocals that aren't too thick. That's what really gets me going, and that's what I'm looking for sound preference wise.
Just wanna pack up my things and go. Just wanna be free, just wanna zone. Just wanna flow, just wanna hang with the gang, but sometime chill on my own. Just wanna do me, just wanna doze. Just wanna live and see how it goes. And the goals just keep on going, yeah. This life we live is a roll. When there's love in the rave, you know. When there's love in the rave, you know. All inside you, all in the soul, 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 soul. You know when the calling's calling you, and the calling's calling more. You know when the calling's calling you, it's calling, calling more, 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 more. You know when the calling's calling more, more, more. You know when the calling's calling. You know when the calling's calling. And it's calling, calling more. And it keeps on calling. Yeah, it's calling, calling more, more, more. And it feels like I'm falling. And it feels like I'm falling. You know when the calling's calling more. And it feels like I'm falling.
Okay, an easy one, but a funny story I'll share with you. This is on the EPZ 530. Now, I had this one a few months ago. I chose not to do a review on it just because I didn't spend a whole lot of time on it, and I dismissed it. First of all, I knew that non-vented shells for BA IMs, I get ear pressure. I'm sensitive to it, and this is what happens for me when I get ear pressure. A couple good indicators, first of all. Non-vented shells, balanced armatures. If you get a driver flex or you get a popping when you put something in your ears, that's also, you could be experiencing some of these symptoms. But what I'm really sensitive to is that ear pressure. And what happens for me is it does a cancellation of the entire low end. So I get an abundance of upper mids and treble, really shouty, really spiky, and the bass kind of disappears after about 2 minutes of listening, and that's it. Fatigue, out they go. That's it. I'm done. When I first tried the set, I had different ear tips that are known for reducing some ear pressure, and that had the Tangzhou Sanchi tips and the Divinus tips. And I tried that. It just, yes, they reduce ear pressure, but they also kill the bass. So it was like, and looking at this graph, right, it just checks off all of my happy zones. It's pushing all of my buttons. But it just didn't sound like that. It just sounded like ass. And I couldn't figure it out. Well, I knew what was happening, and it was just in a... that was it for that. Round 2. Let's go again. Okay? EPZ 530 comes in this sleeve. Comes in this walnut or maple box. I don't know, it's a wood anyway. It's got the EPZ logo engraved into it. This is a $530 IM. It's called an EPZ 530. You can get it on sale for $440 or lower, I've seen. So inside of the box comes with the IMs, of course. It comes with some ear tips that I'm not going to talk about. They weren't great. I didn't even bother. Comes with this nice little case for storage. It's great. It's a little too hard for pocket. But in EPZ's world, doing the nice little touches, comes with this nice little white pleather case. And I thought that was, again, you're paying $530. You should get a great presentation, and this is beyond your standard. This is above average for sure. What's inside? Again, there's 5 Sonyan, and it's kind of weird is I've seen some other specs on this IM and was quoting different drivers, but no, I've double checked this, and indeed there is 5 legit Sonyan drivers. The composite, the 38 series Sonyan for the lows. These balanced armatures are absolutely standout. The 2389 series, 2300 series Sonyan BAs for the mids. I know that these things, when I talk about should you remember some of the... This is why I talk about different drivers or what's in the IM, because I make mental notes of this. I know that these BAs for the mids are one of the best for reproducing natural, smooth-sounding vocals, and the EPZ 530 does not disappoint. When it comes to the top end, the E50 DT Sonyan, again, these Danish balanced armatures are considered probably the best of the best for the highs. Now, I said that I typically prefer Knowles for the top end for the sparkly, but however these are tuned, they're doing a phenomenal job. I wouldn't change a damn thing with any of these driver counts. 5 BAs just kills it. Comes in these 2 colors, that stabilized green and the orange, and these things are like a CNC machined wood resin coated. They're unique. Every set's different. The nozzle itself has a little lip on the end to keep your ear tips. Yeah, I'll go there in a second. 16 core, modular, all three ends, super soft, super flexy, cable, gold, silver, palladium. How often do you see that in this level of cable? Not so much. Not ever, actually, for me. All right, I'll talk about those tips. How I absolutely fell in love with this IM was because I found in a box of, your junk box of tips that you never use. I don't know how, whatever. I had a bunch of foam tips I used for doing the testing with the microphone, and they were in there, and they're a strange size. I think they're like a 12.8 millimeter, but they have this kind of silicone-ish feel on the outside and a rounded style, not those cone styles. And whatever this is, I only have one set. I'm kind of glued, screwed, and tattooed here. Hopefully Canucks Audioholics sounds like they're going to come to the rescue and supply me with that, or foam tips they got kicking around too, to see if I can get more of these things. And if you know, please leave a comment in the description. I don't know what they are. Whatever it is about these tips work to relieve 100% of the ear pressure for me, keeping the full bass and the highs very, very nice, detailed. They're a freak. I'm not a foam tip fan. I don't listen to foam tips normally. They have a whole bunch of bad things associated with them, but oh my, on the EPZ 530, magic, absolutely. Let's talk about the sound profile, first of all. How would I describe the EPZ 530? First and foremost, musical, but a very rare gem that can actually balance out the musicality with a warm tonal signature and fantastic standout technical details and resolution. It's unique and it's super engaging. It's a wonderful listen. First of all, mid-bass focused with a great BA speed and decay. But these Sonyan 38 series are fantastic. They have the best of the best for me for BA bass. Closer to dynamic driver, but not quite. And it's also tuned in a way where you get that a little bit of bass bleed, which I absolutely love, into the lower mids. And because it's BA bass, it's still speedier, so it doesn't thicken up things too much. Male vocals sound fantastic because of the speed. Kick drums sound like snap and kick drum. For rock, man, yeah. Male vocals. Piano, cello, guitar. And I'm going to go into a couple track impressions. I could spend hours in this video talking about how much I just love listening to music on this set. Let's talk about the mids. 80% of all your music's coming from the mids. These are musical mids. These are mids with a little bit of warmth, with excellent micro and macro details, resolution, all those key words that you keep hearing about. But basically, it can pull out the nuances in instrumental, the strings, the tonality of the strings, the plucking of the guitars. D from Randy Rhoads, again, stand out. Niels Lofgren, Keith Don't Go Live. Bone chilling, good. And the rendering of all instrumentals were just stand out. And vocals. Very organic, very smooth. I just love those Sonyan BAs for doing that. Nothing would be complete again without the top end, the treble. And this is where this set is really, really standoutly different. It has great extension and a lot of information up there to make it sparkly and detailed, makes strings sound fantastic. Normally, I find the 38 or the Sonyan BA super tweeters a little muted. Not in this case. The same great smoothness and naturalness that comes through, like the bass and the mids, but also in the treble. They just did a wonderful job in this tuning. Absolutely fantastic. To kind of translate how this sounds, Ulysses by Dead Can Dance. An absolute perfect track to kind of showcase the EPZ 530. You're not familiar with this band, they're kind of dark and melodramatic, and that's the song as well. Vocals, piano, playback are just simply effortlessly done. It makes you simply just drift away into the music. One of these sets that is very, very hard to critically listen and review because you just your brain just you just get absorbed into what the music is doing for you, and you just drift away, and you can't write anything, and you got to go back and listen to it again and then write your notes. So Bad Kids by Lady Gaga. Yeah, I know I'm switching tracks here. Bass has great thump, and quite surprisingly how punchy these are, and still going quite deep down it pulls was a bit surprising. So fantastic vocals again, warm yet natural sounding. Painted Desert by Pat Benatar, one of my favorite female vocalists. The wonderful way the EPZ 530 replays music, I find just simply mesmerizing. And on this track, you're presented with some great natural sounding acoustic guitars. Kick drums, again, sound standout. And Pat's vocals are done with such a nice tonal weight and extension and depth to her voice that you could, again, just... You feel like you're right there, with a great top end again. Excellent replay. I really do love the coloring of this set. Instead of being one of these sets that are very dry and neutral sounding and boring as ass, this thing is musical and smooth, but incredibly detailed and enchanting. In a nutshell, I could just honestly stop my review right there, but I'm going to keep going. The EPZ does a great job of layering in the depth of instrumental and stage. It lets vocals and instrumental play in their own space and with different depths and heights. It lets notes finish without overpowering the next notes. And even in busy tracks, no issues right there. It again, I'm going to use that word, the way it just plays back is very addicting. I like when you talk about something, how it's musical and engaging and mesmerizing. That's emotion, and that's what good gear should do for you. And that's what this set does for me. I think the EPZ 530 is a very rare IM for me, especially. I think it does an amazing job of balancing between the chill, warmer, relaxing listens that I do love, and throwing in an absolute ton of details and dynamics with great resolution in the mids and treble. And that's what makes this set different from everything else I have listened to and own. I dismissed this IM upon, again, its first listen, and it would have been a huge mistake not circling around. This round on my journey, releasing that ear pressure and finding in the zone, getting in the zone. Now, the EPZ 530 is also a very rare set that gets the vocal tonality of both male vocals and female vocals bang on, spot on. The EPZ 530 for me is a very rare set. And the fact that it gets the vocal tonality of both male vocals and female vocals bang on. It finds that happy medium of balancing lower mid weight and the nice amount of energy for female vocals not to sound too thick. Not too many can pull that off done this well. The upper mid gain is tuned extremely well to add in some body to the mids without pushing vocals and instrumental. Here's a graph. If you know how to read some graphs, you look at it and you can see it. It's okay. Yeah, it's going to be a warm, and it is. And again, I really gravitate towards these kinds of sets. Instrumental is not too much or pushed out too forward when upper mids are too prominent, and it doesn't get shouty or in your face. And that's one of these sets that it balances out enough energy in the mids to give you all of the information and a musical presentation without being too much. It is a really greatly tuned IM. It's one of these sets that has the absolute perfect balance. Again, standout, special, unique in my collection. One of a kind that balances musicality and technical details. I find that there's either one or the other. There's not a real balance. It's just hard to do. The Omega is another one for me. The Fat Frequency Grand Maestro. I'm talking kilobuck stuff here. That the Loki. Those are sets that hit that level, that do that balance. This is one of these sets for me. In that up there as well, right? In that kind of playing field. Not to that level, but it certainly has a shit ton of that DNA in it, absolutely. Euphoria by Kendrick Lamar. Now, my love for the EPZ 530 and hip-hop is running deep. It plays this track with those Sonyan BAs. Very, very nice. I was not left wanting in the bass department, but it does a great job down below, but the vocals are just stand out. And the bass everything is keeping very balanced. The bass doesn't overpower the mids don't overpower the highs, and the highs have some great extension, but doesn't overpower anything else. That's a balanced set for me, not a ruler flat. Dry, boring set. This is a balanced musical set, but the mids and the treble are really the star of this show. Simply stand out. One more, Houdini by Eminem. I love this set, again, for hip-hop. I really do. Just pure fun. Bass sounds like a very good balanced armature, punchy with a touch of slower decay. Not a dynamic driver kind of slam and the slower decay, but it does a fantastic job with even texture of the bass as well. No complaints, just compliments. To sum up this video, overall, yeah, man, I'm digging this set. It's taken me a long time to get here, but I'm sure glad I did and put the effort in. Keep in mind that ear pressure thing, people are sensitive to it. I'm glad I found something that worked for me so wonderfully well on this set. Full bass, no ear pressure whatsoever. I can listen to this set for many, many hours on end and just drift into the music. That is the EPZ 530 for me. Wonderful. Love it. Good job, guys.